leaves. And you could make it into like a hairband, like we said before, or you could even put them on like a pin. If you have like a pin attachment from Michael's, you could put it on that. Or if you have a long piece of yarn, you could tie around a hat. There's lots of things you can do. You can even put it on a shirt. So in order to make this, we'll make the first one here, which is the largest flower first. So what you'll want to do is take your felt. So I have like a kind of a cream piece. So I have a cream piece, and I'm going to cut about a 1 inch by 4 inch piece. So a strip. So I'll do that here. So I have a cutting mat. It makes it a lot easier, but if you don't have a cutting mat, just estimate, it's fine. So this is 1 inch, and I can measure 4. So I have a strip here. So what you're going to do next is make the center of this flower. So in order to do that, you have to take your glue, make sure it's hot. You're going to run a strip of glue. So not too much, just a little bit. So across there, like that, and fold it over. So basically you're doing it folded over lengthwise in half. So now you have a strip. So once you have the strip, on the folded side, not on the ends, on the folded side, you're going to cut along the folded side. Can you see? So like along here, on the folded side, just cut along the length, like this, all the way down until you're at the end. Glued side, and this is the folded side. So I've cut along it in little increments like this. Okay, so once you have your strip, you want to roll it on itself. So you're going to roll it up. Make it into a tight roll. You can glue as you go, but you really don't need to. And then once you're done, you want to put a little bit of glue and close it. So we're going to glue it. And then secure it shut. And then you have your center. All right, so once you have your center, you put that on the side. You take whatever you're planning to trace for your circle. So mine is about 4 inches. It's like one of those Glad twist lock Tupperwares. Anyway, so you're going to trace your circle onto your felt with a pen, and then cut out the circle. So after you've traced it, I would recommend cutting inside your circle so you don't see your dark pen that you colored it with. So you just trace it. So I've got a circle here. So I'm going to cut inside the line, so you don't see the line anymore. And it doesn't have to be perfect because it's a flower, so it's fine if it's a bit bumpy.
Laura, can you tell us how you got started into making these felt flowers?
I started because my daughter went to preschool and I wanted something creative for myself. And I had actually made her headbands when she was a baby, so I just got kind of back into it. It was something I could do from home while my husband is away a lot for work, so I could still stay home with the kids because preschool is only a couple days a week, like 2.5 hours a day. So it was something I could do that was creative, that was for me, that I could do from home.
And now where do you have like an Etsy shop? Do you do it all through Instagram? Like where's your business located?
So I started on Etsy, and I did that. I still have Etsy now, so I did Etsy first, and that's great because it's already a search engine for people who hand make products. And then after a while of being on Instagram and Facebook and Etsy, I have my own website through Shopify. So I do both. So I direct traffic to my own site, but then Etsy also does some search engine stuff for me as well. So I just do both.
Great.
Yeah. So I recommend if you ever want to start a shop, Etsy is great in that you don't have to drive your own traffic to Etsy. They already have people looking for stuff. And then once you get started and have people who know who you are, then you could start your own website.
I see people have cut out their circles.
All right, so after you've cut your circle, you're going to cut a spiral and leave a sort of circle in the middle. So it doesn't have to be a perfect spiral. Start a little thinner and then get a little bit thicker as you go towards the middle. So here, I'll try and cut it like this so you can see. So just cut around a spiral towards the middle. And really, it doesn't have to be perfect because you can always trim it at the end. So at the end, you're going to be kind of left with like a circle, and that will be the bottom of your flower. Like this. So if I put it back, this is a kind of the general shape I've cut out here. Here we go. There we go. Nice. I see some circles. Cut. That's great. All right. So once you've got your spiral, you're going to start with this side and put a little bit of glue on your end and attach it to the base of, like, to the side of your center. Like this. So you're going to glue it like that. So get a dab of glue. Don't burn yourself. And then put it on like this. And then just keep spinning it to attach it here. You're going to circle around, keep spinning. So keep your base as flat as you can. So the bottom. Yeah, just the dab of glue at the start. If it's easier for you to glue as you go, you can do that, but you don't need to because when you're all done, you're going to glue all of this, and that's going to hold it together. Okay? So once you're at the bottom here, and you're kind of left with a flap of circle, you're going to put glue all here and then stick this on. So glue the whole base, and then stick this on. Okay? So out of glue. You don't want to put so much that it oozes out. If it oozes out, that's okay. It'll just be a little messier. You can always trim it. So if you hold your scissor against the side and then you trim, that's an easy way to trim it. So it's nice and clean. So I've glued mine here. So I have this flower. And then you can always push down the middle if you want. Make sure it's stuck. Okay, so next I think we'll do the white flower here. And for this, you need to make circles. So I used 1-inch circles. So the easiest way to do that if you don't have any sort of like circle cutter is to cut a 1-inch strip. So I still have some 1-inch strip and make it into squares. So you will need, how many do you need? You're going to need 8 1-inch circles. So 8 squares. So if you cut a square, here I'll show you. If you have a 1 by 1 square like this, it's easier to cut a circle from a square. So you just round the corners kind of off. It can be wobbly because it's just going to be your flower petals. If it's a little funky, that's totally fine. As long as they're all about the same size, I'd say. It might even be nicer if it's a little wobbly, but so this is my circle. It's not perfect. So I got 1. So you will need 8. So 8 of these. So let's see. You are ready. You're going to glue the circles together in kind of a rough arch. So you're going to take the first circle, put a little bit of glue on the side of it, like that, and then attach it. So it's going to slightly curve. It's going to like kind of curve a little bit like a rainbow, but not like massively curved, just like a slight curve. So we're going to do that with 5 circles. 5. So take 5 circles and glue them all like this. So 1, 2, 3, keep going. Yeah, so I'm working towards getting an arch here. Can you see? So just put a little bit of glue, attach, a little bit of glue on the next one, attach, and it's gonna slightly curve.
And this is with 5 of the circles.
Yeah, so I'm on 3. So I'm gonna do number 4 here. And then 5. So it's like a slight arch, not major, just a little bit. The reason for the arch is so like when you roll it, it kind of flares out a little bit more than just being like stuck together like a tube. And then once you've glued those all, we're gonna trim from about halfway and gradually trim less, if that makes sense here. So like that. So I've started about halfway through the circle and get progressively bigger until I don't trim this piece. So I have to trim that. Okay, so once you've got this, you're going to roll from the small side to the big side. So you don't need to glue anything yet. You're only going to glue like right there. Okay, so you're going to roll it pretty tight, not super tight, but like decently tight until you hit the end. And then keep the bottom fairly straight. See, like the bottom is lined up, and then the top will be like this. So yeah, so when you're rolling, keep the bottom flat, and then the top can be getting bigger. So you're going to roll from this side towards the big side and keep the bottom flat. Like that. Okay, so once you're at the end, you're going to glue it. So you're just going to put a dab of glue here and close it. Like so. Sometimes you gotta fix it, like stick your scissor in there, make a circle. And then you have your center of the rose, like this. So yeah, like for me, this is bigger. Okay, so once you have this, you're going to put the other 3, just glue them around, like this. So don't go, like, it's better if you offset them like this instead of just doing it directly behind, because if you do it directly behind, you won't really see it. So you want to move it over like that. Okay? You want to line it up to the bottom so you don't really see, because if you do that, you'll see like this, and that looks kind of funny. So you want to line it up roughly with the bottom. So you put a little bit of glue at the bottom of your circle. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. And then you attach it to the bottom here, like this. So that's one. So you're going to do that with your other 3 circles that you have. So I still have 2 circles. So for the next one, you'll put it a little bit beside the one you just put on. Same sort of thing. So that was the first one. This was the second one. First. You don't need the side stuck down, just the bottom, because then it'll like have a bit more movement and look a bit more realistic. If you tape it, if you glue it all, it'll kind of be like a smushed flower like this, which is kind of what happened with paper for me for this. Okay, so and then you're going to do the last one to cover the last part, like this. And then you have your flower. So far you should have your pink flower or this circle flower and then a rose flower like that. If you're worried about this one coming apart while you're working on it, you could glue the bottom and just let it dry on its own for a bit. Just make sure the center doesn't start pulling out. So if you want, you can do that, but you don't have to. Just stick some glue and then it'll dry while you're doing the last flower. For this one, you're going to want a small square again of a color. So I've chosen a darker pink and a green. So I have this green. So you're going to do a 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch square. Okay, so 1.5 inch. So 1.5 inch of your color, and then a 1.5 inch. Wait, that's like I have like a 1. That was not the right size. Hold on. There we go. So this part is a little trickier. So once you do it, you're going to cut. Here. Let me draw it on another one here. You're gonna cut this general shape out of both. So like start at the corner, cut in a bit, cut out, cut in a bit, cut out, cut in, out, in, out. So if this is your first time, you wanna probably draw it out first. Would be probably better. And cut it out first. That would work well. 2 of these, so you're gonna have a green one and a color one.
Great.
So it's kind of like a star shape, I guess. Star shape. And cut 2 of those. Like if you had a square in the middle and then 4 leaves sticking out of the middle square. Okay, so once you've cut this out, basically what we're planning to do here is bring up the sides around something in the middle. Like that. So, and then it meets in the center. So in order to do that, you need to put something in the middle to form it around. So usually I would use a ball, and this is a felt ball. You can get it on, there's like lots of Etsy shops that have these as well, or if you have like a little pom-pom, you could put in there. But what we'll use, because it's easily available, is you can just put a few scraps of what you've cut in the matching color in the middle like that. So if you don't have enough scrap, you can just get a little bit more scrap. I have this blob from the pink. Ideally, it'd be like similar color to what you're using because you might see it through the sides. Just bundle up your scrap into like a little sort of ball like this. Doesn't have to be perfect. And it's not going to be huge. It's got to fit within this space here. So mine's about the size of a pea. And then put a dab of glue, in the middle. And glue it down. So wherever you ended, you should put that on the glue. So it'll hold a bit better. Like that. Squish it. So once you've got that, now you're going to put 4 lines of glue and glue them up. So in order to do that, you have to be fairly quick and pull it up. If you don't want to work super fast, I would do the 2 opposite ends at a time. So maybe do these 2 first, pull them up and join them, and then do the other 2 and join them. So here, I'll show you. So put a line of glue from the middle to out, not a lot, just a little bit, and then pull them up and then kind of like meet the tips together like that. Like that. And then when you're done that, then you can do the other 2. Generally I do 4, but it's a little bit hard to coordinate. So we'll do 2, and then you can smush the other 2 up. So you're going to cover the scrap that you put in the middle, basically, and have a bit of a bud like this. If you want it pointier, because we did this method of this way, you could trim it a little bit, but I think it's fine. If you have extra glue, you can trim off the glue that seeped out, because no one wants to see the glue. And then you have your bud. Once you have your bud, you're going to take your green piece, and you want it to be matching. Okay, so you're not going to do like diagonal. You want to have the flat sides matching the edges like this. And you're going to glue it down like on the middle, because it's going to be glued like this. Okay, so just glue it flat first. So you put a dab of glue in the middle, like that. Just glue it flat first. Then it kind of looks like this. And to get these to go up, you're going to put a tiny bit of glue here, 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 and bring them up. And then you'll have a bud like this. So this way, tiny bit of glue, up, tiny bit of glue, up, glue, glue. 3. And number 4. Okay, glue strings, I'm gonna get rid of. Push it in. Pull the leaves out if you want. That's kind of like this. Oh, you can mold it a little bit. Looks great. Okay. Now, for leaves, I made them about 1 1/4 by 2 1/4 inches big. So, what is this? So this is a 2-inch. Rectangles that are 1 1/4 wide by 2 1/4 long. So 4. You need 4. However big you want the leaves. You can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. It doesn't really matter how big the leaves are. It's whatever you want them to be, but just generally cut out a rectangle first and then cut out a leaf shape. So I have, so I cut a strip. And if you want to save time, you can always double it up and cut 2 leaves at once, or 2 of whatever you're doing. If you want to do that, you can try that. So to cut a leaf shape, you're just going to curve it out and curve it back in. So go from the middle out, back to the middle. Then flip it, middle out, so like an eyeball shape. Like that. So you can draw it first again if you want, or you go from the middle out to the side and back to the middle. So I cut 2 at once, so I got twins. I got 2 here, and that you do that again. Okay, so when you put it all together, so you're going to glue all the leaves in the middle to pinch them close. Just glue at the bottom and pinch it. So you got to do that 4 times for all your leaves. And once you've done that, you need a base to glue them onto. So for my base, I use like a sleeve. If you have a hairband, you could just glue it directly on, or you could glue it on a square of felt and put a pin on, whatever you're using it for. So for this square, it is 2 inches by 2.5 inches. So it's 2.5 inches wide and it's 2 inches big. So I've folded it in half over the hairband. So you need a rectangle that's 2 by 2.5. So let's do this actually. This is 2. Whatever hairband you're using, so this was the tights that I cut up. You're going to put your sleeve around it and do a thin strip of glue. You don't want to glue the actual hairband, you just want a thin strip to glue it closed over. So it's like a sleeve that moves like this. So just a thin line, and then you're going to glue it shut like that. Okay? So if you're using a hairband, you could probably glue them right on, but you could also use the sleeve too. If you don't have a hairband or anything you want to glue it onto right now, you could just glue it onto a rectangle and then glue that rectangle onto something else later when you have something. Okay, so I've made my sleeve like this. Generally, I make them really tight, but you don't want to have glue on the hairband, so we'll just leave it loose for now, like this. So once you have this, you're going to put glue on this and glue your flower onto that. So don't glue your flower because you might get glue all over the place. So glue the sleeve and then put your flower on the sleeve, like this. Okay, so glue the sleeve here, like that. And then we're going to stick, see which way we want to go. Stick the flower on top, like that. Yeah, it's up to your own personal preference. So for this one, I just put it on that, towards that side. You could put it in the middle, and then put like this on this side, and this on that side, and put the leaves up and down. You could put them smushed, put all the leaves on one side. It's up to you. So basically we're working towards, for this one, we're going to put this here, the bud on the top, the rose on the bottom, and then the leaves on the other sides. Once you've got this, you can glue 2 leaves together, side by side, like that. Okay. And then glue them onto the sleeve again. So for these, I don't recommend gluing the sleeve because it's so small. You just really need a little dab of glue here on the bottom and then glue it onto the sleeve. Okay, so little dab. And then stick it on. Like working backwards here. There we go. Like that. See? Okay, and then you're going to put glue here for the rose. I glue the flower and put it on if the flower is really small. But if the flower is bigger than the sleeve, you want to glue the sleeve. So I could glue the rose and put it on. That would be fine. But I don't want to glue this one because it's bigger than the sleeve. If I glued all the way from here to there, it would be like glue all over the place. So yeah, I think it's just more about the size. Okay, so let's glue that, and then you're going to glue the bud down, like that. Got that. And then you've got your last 2 leaves. So glue them together again, just like the last pair. And then again, put the glue on the leaves. And then you can put them right next to the rose there. Like that. And then we're done this one. So they'll look a little different depending where you put the stuff, but here's black, here's nude. Goodbye.